Hello and welcome to Moonshot Nutrition. My name's Addison, and today we're going to talk about optimizing your diet. Specifically, we're going to start from a very broad perspective where we include as many food groups as we can, and then I'm going to give you a framework by which to slowly start removing food groups and narrowing the diet until you find what works for you. Now, the reason that I prefer this method is a lot of people talk about doing it in the reverse. There's just one problem if you do that. When you remove a lot of food groups all at once, and then sometime much later start reintroducing them, your body will often have an adverse reaction to them. Alright? Most notably, gluten will do this. If you remove gluten for a full month, even if you weren't gluten intolerant before, you will become gluten intolerant after. Okay? So the problem with doing it in the other direction is that it actually robs you of your resiliency. This allows you to maintain your resiliency to the best level that you can, and still allows you to keep as many food groups as you can. And remember, when it comes to diet, it's sort of an oxymoron, but the more food groups you can include in your diet, the simpler and more sustainable it is to maintain your diet. And remember, if it isn't sustainable, who cares? Alright, so let's start with Michael Pollan's Eat Real Food, mostly plants, not too much. This is exactly what it sounds like, a whole food based diet. Real cooking, real foods, and so on. The way he describes real foods is he talks about if your great-great-grandmother wouldn't know what it is, then it's not real food. Real foods are usually found on the perimeter of your grocery store. And real foods are perishable. That's pretty straightforward and doesn't really require much explanation. Now, I will say though that the not too much part, if you're eating real food and it's not overly starch or carbohydrate based, you'll find eating too much is not too much of a problem. You've never seen anybody that just couldn't stop eating salad and steak. Never happens. That's the problem with potato chips. Alright, so rule number 2, or not rule number 2, but rather, I should say food number 1 to get rid of. And remember, these are not in any specific order. You're welcome to get rid of the foods as you wish. Try grains. Try removing grains. Grains have a few problems. They have inflammatory compounds, most notably gluten, which I mentioned earlier, and then they also tend to be really ridden with GMOs, plus they tend to raise your carbohydrate pretty high. So try getting rid of grains, see how you're feeling. Second thing to get rid of is soy. Soy too is also GMO. Soy also has the problem of being really heavily processed in this country. We don't see soy near as often in the 3 forms in which it's more or less the natural form in which the Japanese and Chinese used to eat it, which is fermented natto, tofu made in the traditional way, and edamame. Most people do not eat soy in that way. Plus, if it's not organic, you can pretty much assume it is GMO. Another food group that a lot of people benefit from getting rid of is dairy. Dairy has 2 notable compounds that are problematic for people. One, the most well-known, is lactose, aka milk sugar. It causes, for people that are lactose intolerant, the gas that they get from it is explosive and very painful. Humorous if it's your in-laws, but otherwise, probably stay away. The second compound is casein protein. A lot of people have an intolerance or an allergy to casein protein, which represents about 80% of the milk protein. And also remember that milk is designed to make mammals grow. So if you're trying to keep those extra pounds off, dairy products are usually a terrible way to do it. Butter and heavy cream perhaps being the exception. And remember, most people that don't do well with dairy actually can tolerate heavy cream and butter quite well. Lastly, try getting rid of legumes. These are going to be beans, peanuts, and cashews. A lot of people have some digestive issues with legumes. They just don't digest them well. Plus, similar to the what are called anti-nutrients in grains, such as phytates, legumes can sometimes lock on to certain nutrients and not allow you to absorb them, hence the term anti-nutrient. Well, we're at the end of this episode. I hope very much that you've got some kind of useful information out of this. My name's Addison. This is Moonshot Nutrition. Please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, but even more so, please, 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 spread whatever you learn here to other people, to your loved ones, and make the world a better place. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.